You're listening to the Season 6 finale of Cosmic Cousins, Soul-Centered Astrology. For grounding that ass from all the New Age sass. I am your host, Jeff Henshaw. Season 6 of Cosmic Cousins has been a bi-weekly astrology podcast released every new and full moon, and it's dedicated to honoring the interconnectedness of our universal family through embodied help, self-discovery, and deeper learning. Hey, Cosmic Cousins. Welcome back to another week of the show. I'm sitting here, I got a turtleneck on and no pants, and my nails are painted black. And we're in Sagittarius season. The heaters are blasting in my apartment right now, so I don't have control over them because it's this old building, but they do have a mind of their own. So if you hear like something hissing, it's the steam being spit out. And sometimes it likes to bang, and so it feels kind of nice. It's getting hot and steamy in here because we are in the heart of Sagittarius season. You know, this mutable fire energy, we're feeling it. It's the sun energy we're in right now. It's activating us, and we're also here approaching the Gemini Full Moon, which is mutable air, the polar sign, right? And this is the last full moon of this decade, which I think we refer to this decade as the teens, although I'm not sure, but we're about to enter into the 20s. And so there is this collective shift, this full moon in Gemini. It is leading us up towards the eclipse, the Capricorn new moon, the day after Christmas. So this is a huge full moon right now. This is our last one of this decade again. And so approaching 2020 sounds like I vision, right? And so the new vision, what do you have your sights on for the future? What are you leaving behind in this decade so that you can move forward and step up in a new way? And so this is definitely right in alignment with the energy of Sagittarius and then evolving into Capricorn. We feel this time of year. Sagittarius, the archer, is shooting its arrow towards the sky. It's towards the heavens. It's towards the stars. The esoteric phrase for Sagittarius is, I see the goal, I reach the goal, and then I see another. So we're feeling into this time of year, and so during the holiday seasons, the last week of November, building us up toward the winter solstice, this is Sagittarius season, and it often does bring us in a closer proximity to our long-term vision, whereas in Capricorn season, right around December 21st and into January, all the way to January 19th, we start to get a little bit more practical with that vision. So we're getting into the collective energy of the wheel. We're also, Sagittarius is bringing us into the darker side of the year on the northern hemisphere. It is a time where it's a bit more internal, for sure, but this is fire still at the same time. So there is this juxtaposition that happens in Sagittarius. It's philosophical conversations are likely to happen this time of year. There can be an emphasis on ritual or religion. We might feel spontaneous this time of year, like booking trips, but also equally in hibernation. So it is an interesting, mutable fire feel here. And I know I've been equally all over the place, as much as I've also been deep in meditation by candlelight, which right now the lights are dimmed here in my apartment. I'm recording at nighttime, although it's early evening, but it's dark out, right? It's the daylight's dwindling. So we lose 2 minutes of light every day until the winter solstice. So it's drawing inward here on the northern hemisphere. If you're on the southern hemisphere, you're expanding in light. And so this idea of dark and light is important when working with Sagittarius and Gemini, its polar sign. So I have this candle lit. I have the tarot cards out for both Sagittarius and Gemini. I've got some peppermint and cinnamon essential oil. And I also have this little angel token here that I keep in my pocket. Temperance is the soul growth card for Sagittarius. So working with angel energy can be really great during Sagittarius season. I also have this stone that I got when I was traveling in Hawaii when I was going through my Saturn return. Saturn in Sagittarius, so I'm honoring that. And the sun is about to line up with it. My Saturn in Sagittarius is at the 19th degree of Sagittarius, which is what this full moon the full moon axis is on. It's full moon in Gemini at the 19th degree. And then sun is at the 19th degree of Sagittarius. So look at your chart and see what is at 19th degree in Sagittarius and Gemini, or 19th degree in Virgo and Pisces, which means it would be squaring this moon. And really anything around the 19th degree, see what kind of aspects are happening with this moon for you, but particularly in Gemini and Sagittarius. I also have this excerpt, or like this page that fell out of a book. And this book was gifted to me by someone that I would consider an elder, who is a yoga teacher of mine. And this yoga teacher, it just so happens that the place that I practice yoga at is founded by a Sagittarius, Swami Satchidananda. And this practice of yoga is, for one, it's connecting us to another part of the world, which is connecting us to Sagittarius with cultural understanding and world travel. The logo of the institute, it has 12 different religious symbols in a circle, and they're all joining together in one point. It kind of looks like the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot, which is the card for Jupiter. Jupiter is the ruling planet for Sagittarius. So this wheel of all of these different religious symbols coming together in a point. This is very Sagittarius. Swami Satchidananda is a Sagittarius sun with a Pisces moon. So this is where I'm practicing yoga at. And my elder, my teacher, which Saturn and Sagittarius, Saturn is elder energy, and Sagittarius is teacher. So it's an older teacher, of course. This is coming up during Sagittarius season. Hands me this book. It's like, I think that you could really benefit from reading this, or you might enjoy this. And I think normally I would refuse because I'm already reading 5 books. I'm also a minimalist. But since I've been, reconnecting with this Sagittarian energy of being open, it's the open mind to new teachings, to the energy of teacher or mentor. This is all Sagittarius. I think we're more open this time of year to that sort of thing. So I take the paperback. It's this very worn paperback from my teacher's hands, and it's Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. And so it's like a 1970s illustrated cover, and it depicts this young androgynous figure sitting in meditation, surrounded by the evidence of a long journey, right? And so Sagittarius is long-term travel, it's journeys, it's also the journey inward through meditation. And so I placed the book carefully inside of my bag, and a few days go by and I forget about the book until it calls out to me. And in this moment, just right before I'm about to go to the East River for a late afternoon stroll. And so once I get to the water, I sit down on a bench and I open the book, and that's when the page falls out of it, right? And so the binding it's in the beginning stages of unraveling. And so the page, it was loose to the touch and it falls out. And so the passage that awaits on this free page speaks to me so profoundly of Sagittarius, and I got shivers when I read it. And so this kind of synchronicity, though, is connected to Sagittarius when it is soul-centered. Gemini, the polar sign, is connected to the immediate surroundings. It's connected to the unfolding of synchronicities. Sagittarius, in a lower form, can be so focused on the long-term vision or the journey that it actually might miss the magic of the page falling out of the book that was handed to the teacher. Sagittarius, in a lower form, might not even take the book from the teacher and says, I already know what I need to know. I know where I have to go. Gemini is about the social interaction, looking someone in the eyes and saying, thank you. I'm curious what this book has to offer me. I'm curious what the words on this page, the smaller detail, immediate surroundings have to offer me. And so I have this page here on my altar. I'll read it to you at some point during our time together today. So right now I've got all of these things out on my altar. And I think that it's important for us because as we're building up towards this eclipse season, there is a heightened energy around this full moon. And it's also, we're building up to this eclipse, Cancer full moon eclipse in January and the Capricorn new moon eclipse at the end of December 26th. So Cancer North Node and Capricorn South Node are playing a little bit of a role here in our Sagittarius season because we're building up to it. So the Cancer North Node, it indicates for us the last year and a half, the nodes of fate have been aiming towards Cancer North Node. And so it's been encouraging us to realign with our natural rhythms, our intuitive rhythms. It's been encouraging us to connect with family, home, and mother. But this isn't always safe or available to everyone, particularly in the queer community. This full moon could also start to be bringing up stuff around family. It's important to honor clear boundaries at this time. And so for some of us, that might mean keeping a loving distance from our birth family instead of reaching out and seeking the support of our chosen family. And so also look in your natal chart at 1 to 10 degrees of Cancer and 1 to 10 degrees of Capricorn, because the next few months offer you a time to focus your intent towards healing these parts of your heart and of your chart and lovingly releasing outdated karma as connected to 1 to 10 degrees of Capricorn. So you might already be feeling into that polarity in your chart too, because I think the reason we're really feeling it is because Jupiter entered Capricorn this last week. So both of these, since Jupiter's in Capricorn, this polarity of Cancer and Capricorn in your chart may feel magnified over the next year as Jupiter is in Capricorn for a year. And so now through eclipse season is a time to release what no longer serves and to plant seeds for a new 12-year cycle, which is quite timely as we shift into a new decade. And the reason it's a 12-year cycle is because that's how long it takes Jupiter to transit around the sun. And so for me in my own life, I'm looking at what do I have at that 19th degree of Sagittarius and Gemini. And I'm also looking to what do I have around the 10 degrees to 1 degree of Cancer Capricorn. And so for me, I also have Black Moon Lilith in Cancer right there. And so it has been a really intense few weeks during Sagittarius as I've been feeling the pull of the Cancer North Node as we build up towards the eclipse. And so I've been taking extra sweet care over these few weeks. And as we build up through January to the eclipse, it could be a really great time to book an astrology reading. So I offer 90-minute astrology readings. You can find out more information at astrologycousins.com, and it would be an honor to hold space for you during this eclipse season that's coming up. And so, yeah, we have this Cancer Capricorn polarity being activated with the Sagittarius ruling planet Jupiter newly in the sign of Capricorn. December 2nd, Jupiter entered Capricorn. And so this is also, we're building up towards the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn in January, which happens January 12th. Saturn and Pluto meet in the sky once every 36 years. So there's a new 36-year cycle being activated right now. So there is a lot that's creating the background for us to understand this full moon. And so on today's episode, to be sure, we're going to drop in and tune into the invitation of Gemini full moon. And so we have Sun and Tina Turner.
Know that they will keep on turning.
And Moon and Stevie Nicks.
Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love?
Already by honoring these two zodiac queens, we can really feel into the polarity of Gemini and Sagittarius. It is this polarity of it's deeply spiritual. We're going to get into that today with Tina Turner. This might not be a side that a lot of people know about Tina Turner, but we're going to talk about that today. It's deeply spiritual, wise. It's the truth seeker polarity, Gemini Sagittarius, intuitive, wildly creative, storytellers, oracles, all of that. The Gemini Sagittarius polarity is not messing around when it comes to truth. So if you are new to the show, Zodiac Queens is a project that we were working on from 2018 until middle of 2019, and we crowned a queen for each zodiac sign. Stevie Nicks is our queen of Gemini. Tina Turner is our queen of Sagittarius, and both of them offer us the soul-centered perspective of these astrological energies. So we're going to talk about this polarity today on the show. We will look at the birth chart of Queen of Sagittarius, Tina Turner, who just turned 80 on November 26th. So we'll look at her birth chart and see how exploring her life can better connect us to the high vibe Sagittarian feel. And we will, of course, look at the polarity of Gemini and Sagittarius using the tarot to aid us in that. But before we get into all of that, I do have some updates and announcements. So let's transition into that now. As we enter the year 2020, we are on the precipice of a new vision, and it would be an absolute honor for me to help guide you with this transition. That's why I am super excited to announce the 2020 Cosmic Download, a 2-hour deep dive podcast episode to facilitate you as we enter the new decade. During the first 90 minutes, you'll enjoy a meditation for embodied health as we explore major transits for the year 2020. We will discuss what these transits might mean for you as an individual and also for the collective and humanity at large. And then in the final 30 minutes, this is really cool. It's geared specifically towards your zodiac sun sign. So this horoscope offers you a specialized approach to realign you with your soul-centered invitation in the new year. So I am recording 12 separate horoscopes, 30-minute horoscopes for each sign. It is available for purchase on my website at astrologycousins.com/2020, or you can check out the link in the show notes. Some of the things that we'll cover during our time together in this 2020 Cosmic Download is we'll talk about Jupiter and Capricorn. This is more than just a year of expansion with responsibility and long-term planning. Jupiter and Capricorn really offers us a time to reconnect with the shadow work and to step up in a bigger and more authentic way. So I'm excited to share with you my downloads about the Jupiter and Capricorn transit. I think it's a little different than what you might be hearing from other astrologers. We'll also go into the Emperor card, which is the tarot card for the year 2020. And we'll explore this tarot archetype and what overarching lessons the Emperor might have in store for us. We'll also go into the huge Saturn, Pluto, and Capricorn conjunction that's happening in January. This transit marks a new 36-year cycle. We're going to talk about Black Moon Lilith in Aries. It's an important transit for the LGBT community and for those who identify as a witch. This transit marks a new 9-year cycle for us with Black Moon Lilith themes. We're going to go into the nodes of fate. They're transitioning into Gemini Sagittarius polarity, and the 2020 eclipse seasons will be in the Gemini Sagittarian energy. And this is a year that's really big for us. It's a time when duality is very prevalent, particularly in our political environment. And so where is Gemini North Node guiding us in the new year? And how can we best make use of this transit? We're also going to talk about Mars and Aries autumn retrograde. And we're going to look at this Jupiter and Saturn and Aquarius conjunction that happens in December of 2020. All of these things we'll go into a little bit more. This is a huge transition, lots of new cycles starting in 2020. And then, of course, we'll have your 30-minute episode just for your sun sign. And so this horoscope will connect with your ruling planets and how the major transits interact with your zodiacal energy. And so all of this is brought to you for $55. It's a 2-hour episode. And you can also purchase the entire Zodiac series, meaning you get all 12 horoscopes and the 90-minute collective horoscope for $88. And so the entire Zodiac series is great for someone who's wanting to really dive deep in the new year. It's great for other astrologers, for families and groups, or for individuals just wanting to connect on a deeper level, like with your moon sign, with your ascendant and other planets in your natal chart. You could use those horoscopes to help guide you with that as well. So that is my huge offering that I'm excited to announce for you, and it would be such an honor to help facilitate your experience into this new decade. It's definitely a time where it's great to be mindful of who we're surrounding ourselves with the kind of information that we're being inundated with. And so if my work resonates with you and you'd like to have some sort of ritual around the new year, you will receive this. You can purchase it now on the website. It will be up throughout December, but you'll receive it on December 30th, Monday, December 30th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, astrologycousins.com/2020, or you can click the link in the show notes. That's my first announcement. And then the second announcement is this is the season 6 finale. So we've had 6 seasons of the show. We've been doing this for 2.5 years. And I announced last week that I was going to be going on a spiritual sabbatical for the show to leave some room for the Zodiac Queens. I'm wanting to write it as a book. Maybe she wants to be a documentary series. There's a lot of space that needs to be created in order for this to happen. But luckily, after some deliberation with this, I realized that when I gave myself space from leading the 6-month Brooklyn Fools Tarot journey this year, that created a lot of opening for me. So yes, this is the season 6 finale, but the show is not actually going on a sabbatical. So sorry for those that had a freak out moment over the show coming to a close for a while, but I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here actually next week because the new format of the show is I'm going to be releasing episodes at the beginning of each astrological season. And so we'll start Capricorn season in about 10 days. So I'll be releasing an episode next week at the start of Capricorn season. And there's going to be some changes. I'd like to get this podcast on Spotify. I'd like to update some of my equipment. And so, I'll still be around. If you want to stay in the loop, you can sign up for the newsletter. There'll be a link in the show notes for that. And also, another announcement I have, if you're a Patreon supporter of the show, I'll be sending you a message this week to thank you with a little special holiday treat in there. And I'll also be on Tarot for the Wild Souls Yuletide podcast episode that's going to be coming out in the next few weeks. So keep an ear and an eye out for that too. And I think that's all the announcements I have for today. The 2020 Cosmic Download is the main one, astrologycousins.com/2020. And also, if you'd like to book a reading during eclipse season, this is a great time to get a reading as we head into the eclipses. So astrologycousins.com for that too. And let's head into the rest of this week's podcast episode. So here on Cosmic Cousins, I often will bring out tarot cards because tarot is a big part of my practice as an esoteric teacher of esoteric practices. So here, the cards that we have out are for Sagittarius and Gemini because they're going to help us understand this Gemini full moon. So I've got the Page and Queen of Wands. Pages and queens I use to represent mutable energy. Wands are fire, so these are Sagittarius's court cards. But then I also have the Page of Swords and the Queen of Swords out here. Queen of Swords is hiding. There she is. And so this is Gemini, mutable air. Swords are air. Again, Page and Queen, mutable. The soul growth card for Sagittarius is Temperance, number 14, which shows an angel. And then the Lovers, number 6, is Gemini's soul growth, which also shows an angel. So we got some angel energy going on up in here. And then the ruling planets for both Sagittarius and Gemini. We got Jupiter as the ruling planet for Sagittarius. This is the Wheel of Fortune, number 10 in the tarot. And then Mercury is the ruling planet for Gemini. So we've got the Magician, number 1 out here. These are our cards. So if you work with the tarot and you'd like to look along and connect with your own cards, then go ahead and get those out. And I'm working with the Pamela Coleman Smith Rider Waite Smith Centennial version. But any of the tarot cards will do, and you might notice that you'll have your own unique downloads when you look at your cards. So the first one that I would like to put out here is we're going to put Queen of Wands with the Page of Swords. This is Sagittarius and Gemini, right? And so since it's the Gemini full moon, what is Gemini full moon reflecting back to Sagittarius? We evolve through Gemini this time of year. And soul-centered astrology, all signs evolve through their polar sign. It brings them into a loving balance on the wheel. So what I'm seeing here with the Queen of Wands, she goes deep within to reconnect with her desires and her creative impulses. All of the queens in the tarot are going deep within, but here with the fire, with the wands, it's for the desire for creativity. So it's creative impulse. This is an intuitive confidence. So it's through the connection with her internal world, she realigns herself with her deeper knowings. And we see that symbolized with the black cat, but we also see her posture. She's very confident. So this is a very intuitive confidence. And she's out in the desert. She's looking off in the distance in a very stoic way. But here comes the Page of Swords. Here comes the Gemini full moon. The Page of Swords is this card that is... Page of Swords is very whimsical feeling to me. It depicts this young person that's standing with their sword pointing straight up towards the sky. Not exactly straight, it's slightly tilted. But the body and the sword lean in one direction, but the Page of Swords is looking in another direction, as if to take in what's going on in the immediate surroundings, but it's not necessarily paying attention where the sword's going, which could show this tendency for the Page of Swords to not necessarily think before one speaks. So here we see the page, there's a breeze that's blowing through the young person's hair, and there's clouds behind. So the environment shift here is different, right? We've got the desert, the hot heat. I imagine that the air is still, and then the Page of Swords comes in and brings a little bit of wind. And so here the Page of Swords is now, the Queen of Wands has this vision, is gone within and is very internal and has a very intuitive sense of where she is heading, where she's expanding. This is us in Sagittarius season. This is us at the Sagittarius new moon, setting our heights high. The Page of Swords comes in and starts asking questions. Where are you going? How are you going to get there? Why do you look so serious? Like these kind of questions, this Gemini energy can really allow us to start getting into this feeling of curiosity. So it's expanding your vision by asking questions, right? The Page of Swords is reminding the Queen of Wands to open her heart and mind to the universal flow of synchronicities, to the messages that are in front of you, to keep an eye out for messages from Spirit, that the Queen of Wands doesn't have to do it all on her own, that there is this whimsical energy, and the Page of Swords has all of these birds in the background. And there's also sirens going off right now. So this might be important for us to take a look out for and to listen for at this time. I'd like to put the Page of Wands now with the Queen of Swords. And so this is going to reverse that energy a bit. But Page of Wands it reflects Sagittarius' love of adventure and spontaneity. Pages represent this naive energy. So this could be like a naive impulse. So this is symbolized in a lot of ways here, but one of the ways would be that the page is holding a staff or a wand and is looking at a sprout. It's also in the desert. There's pyramids in the distance. The Queen of Wands comes in. She sits firmly on her throne, and we see her profile. It's just half of her face. And so she is stern, and she's gesturing with her hand raised. And her sword is actually perfectly erect towards the heavens. And so she is the only figure in the tarot besides Justice who holds the sword so precisely. And so the sword suit in the tarot does represent these deeper truths. And the swords it's the darkest suit in the tarot. And so the Queen of Swords comes to represent, she's holding space for the darker mental energy. She represents the darker, more mysterious side of Gemini, whereas the Page of Swords is representing the more light, ethereal. So the Queen of Swords is bringing in this incredible capacity to share a deep wisdom through pain. And so seeing her next to the Page of Wands, it's almost like a warning to the Page of Wands. Don't be careless. Think before you act. This is a kind of wisdom that the Gemini full moon might be bringing us here during the Sagittarius season. We can look at the soul growth cards too. Soul growth, again, Temperance and the Lovers, both have angels on them. Temperance is the card that comes after death, which is Scorpio. So it's the recirculation of life that follows death. And Sagittarius's soul growth with Temperance is reminding Sagittarius, one, not to overdo it. Sagittarius is expansive and can become indulgent or overdo things. And so Temperance is about moderation. It is about a spiritual journey. And it's a spiritual journey that comes through some sort of wisdom. Sagittarius on this level is connected to a higher power through a spiritual practice that grants the wisdom. Right? And this wisdom is coming through the assimilations of experiences. This is Sagittarius. But the Lovers is interesting. If we put the Lovers, Gemini soul growth, it is taking that understanding into our relationships, into our social interactions, or towards the parts of ourself that are contradictory. So Gemini is reminding us that which we're building bridges between in the world around us. Sagittarius is, right, it's leading humanity from one goal to another, and it's building bridges between world religions or world philosophies. But the Lovers card is saying, build those bridges within yourself. Find a balance between your masculine and your feminine, your solar and your lunar. Share these discoveries, share your philosophies with a friend. Keep an open mind to your neighbors. Gemini is bringing us into our immediate surroundings, but still is just as spiritual here with this angel blessing this marriage between these two figures on the Lovers card. And then finally, we have the Wheel of Fortune as Jupiter and the Magician as Mercury. These are the two ruling planets for Sag and Gemini. And so in the Wheel of Fortune, it's a vision in the sky. It's got symbols and archetypes, and it offers us a clue to happiness, to success, to fortune that we seek as humans here on Earth. The letters and the glyphs on the wheel spell out God in many different ways, and there are 4 figures in the 4 corners which represent the 4 fixed signs that are reading a book. So this is connecting us to Sagittarius's pursuit of knowledge, pursuit of cosmic intelligence, the understanding of the great wheel of life, the understanding of the interconnectedness of all. But then Mercury steps in. The Magician is actually taking that understanding of the 4 elements, taking that understanding of the interconnectedness of life, and channeling it as a manifester This speaks to Gemini's incredible capacity to be an open channel to synchronicity and flow that we so feel in the Wheel of Fortune. And so Gemini full moon is coming in and saying, asking us to speak our intentions into existence. So we're expanding our vision by asking questions or speaking our intentions into existence with this Gemini full moon. We're opening our heart and our mind to the universal flow of synchronicities. So keep an eye out for messages from Spirit this week. Make eye contact with strangers, connect with your neighbors. This is the invitation of the Gemini full moon. Write an anonymous letter of goodwill, of hope. Put your philosophical musings of oneness into practice. Gemini wants us to practice this, and this can be simple through a handshake or a hug. Sagittarius can get very philosophical, whereas Gemini is reminding us to scribble our genius thoughts down, to pay attention to the enchanting quality of our voice and of our word. So we're taking the long distance travel and ideas of Sagittarius, and we're finding the magic, it's the magician here, in short distant travel. So notice the shades of gray and duality, but build bridges with them. And so bringing your hands together in a prayer position is one way that we can do this. Gemini rules over the hands. And so Gemini full moon wants us to unite our polar energies, to unite contradictions within and without. And it's only by doing this within ourselves that we can begin to do that outside of ourselves in a bigger context. And so Sagittarius season is expanding our mind, expanding our vision, our hope and faith. But Gemini is saying, don't go too far. Speak with yourself in the mirror. Remember your core of who you are. What is your truth? Where are you going and how are you going to get there? Yes. But can you bring this back into this internal understanding that isn't getting too lost in the philosophy or the higher learning, but is rather utilizing this as a gift to share with the world? So the esoteric phrase for Gemini is, I see my other self, and in the waning of that self, I grow and glow. I see my other self, and in the waning of that self, I grow and glow. So at this time, we'll bring our awareness to our bodies and our breath for a little meditation for embodied health. Here on Cosmic Cousins, I always like to carve out a moment to bring our awareness into our bodies for some holistic healing, body, mind, spirit. Sagittarius rules over the thighs, the hips, the hamstrings, the IT band. So breathe into these parts of the body. Maybe even take your hands there and just touch this part of the body, massage this part of the body. And how are you massaging this part of the body? With the hands. This is Gemini. Gemini rules over the hands. So notice the interaction between the twins, the hands, and the thighs. And then you'll bring your awareness to just the hands, and you can bring the hands into a prayer position. And so I'd like to play a little clip for you from Tina Turner. So Tina Turner, our queen of Sagittarius, has a Gemini moon. So is on this polarity of this Gemini full moon. Tina Turner is a full moon baby. And she has released a lot of different spiritual songs and albums in her later years. And I'd like to play you a clip from one of her songs. It's called Beyond. And I just want you to listen to the sound of her voice. I can't play the whole song for you, but I can play a clip of it. But then after the clip, I'm just going to read you the words from her song, like a poem. And this will be our Gemini full moon meditation But I want to play this clip for you so you can feel the wisdom, the Sagittarian wisdom, the Gemini full wisdom in her voice. So let's listen to a clip of that now.
Nothing lasts forever. No one lives forever. The flower that fades and dies. Winter passes and spring comes. Embrace the cycle of life that is the greatest love. Go beyond fear. Go beyond fear. Beyond fear takes you into the place where love grows. When you refuse to follow the impulses of fear, anger, and revenge. Beyond means to feel yourself. Start every day singing like the birds. Singing takes you beyond, 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 beyond.
And so we get a taste of the wisdom of Queen of Sagittarius, Tina Turner there, the power of her word with her Gemini full moon. I'd like to read the words from this song for you for our Gemini full moon meditation. Nothing lasts forever, no one lives forever. The flower that fades and dies, winter passes and spring comes. Embrace the circle of life, that is the greatest love. Go beyond fear. Beyond fear takes you into a place where love grows. When you refuse to follow the impulses of fear, anger, and revenge. Beyond means to feel yourself. Start every day singing like the birds. Singing takes you beyond. We need a repeated discipline and genuine training to let go our old habits of mind and to find and sustain a new way of seeing. Go beyond the rights and the wrongs. Prayer clears the head and brings back peace to the soul. Go beyond the feel, the oneness of the unity. Go beyond to feel the oneness of the unity. Singing takes you beyond. We are all the same, looking to find our way back to the source, to the one, to the only one. Go beyond. Greatest moments in our lives are when we allow each other to teach. Go beyond to feel the oneness of the unity. Singing takes you beyond. Take the journey. Take the journey inside of you to become quiet, to hear the beyond, to become patient, to receive the beyond, to become open, to invite the beyond, and be grateful to allow the beyond. Be in the present moment to live in the beyond. Start every day singing like the birds. Singing takes you beyond. What does love have to do with it? Love grows when you trust. When you trust, love heals and renews. Love inspires us and empowers us to do great things and makes us a better person to love. Love makes us feel safe.
Love makes us feel safe and brings us closer to God. When you go beyond, is where you find true love. Keep singing. Singing takes you beyond. 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 Beyond.
I am speechless. Literally, I cannot get over Tina Turner. I have been going in deep to some of her music. If you don't know about Tina Turner and her life, building bridges between baptism and Buddhism, she has released Buddhist chant albums. She brought 30 kids, each from a different country, together to record an album. She has teamed up with ministers, Buddhist monks, with singers from different parts of the world. Tina Turner is a true Sagittarius and is our Queen of Sagittarius, and I've got her birth chart here. She's a Sagittarius sun with a Gemini moon and a Leo rising. In the lyrics to the song Beyond, the spiritual messages that she was delivering to us reflected Sagittarius so much. Embrace the circle of life. This is the wheel of fortune. Go beyond. Beyond is like shooting the arrow up towards the sky. She talks about this connection to taking the journey inside of you, to feel the oneness of unity. All of this is the soul-centered attributes of Sagittarius. But then she drops in the airiness of Gemini. Start every day singing like the birds. And right now, my roommate's actually in the shower singing. I don't know if you can hear him, but she brings in this ethereal lightness to the depth of the philosophical pursuit of Sagittarius, and is delivering messages from beyond. The song is actually called Beyond, and the phrase I use for Gemini rising is deliver messages from beyond, but is also inspiring us to expand into the beyond, which is Sagittarius. So this connection to beyond is really cool, looking at this polarity. And when we look at her birth chart, she's got a lot of planets in different signs. It's pretty spread out here, which is nice. She's got Neptune in Virgo, spirituality that is coming through her work, through her offering, through her volunteer services. She's got North Node in Libra, indicating that she is directing her life force, her life's purpose towards social equality, peace, interpersonal relationships. And then she's got Sun and Mercury and Venus all in Sagittarius, giving us this Queen of Sagittarius feel with Venus there for sure, and her ability to communicate higher truths with Mercury and Sagittarius. She's got her part of fortune in Aquarius, which feels nice. It's this easeful flow of energy for humanity at large. Mars, Black Moon Lilith, and Jupiter all in Pisces. As a Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, to see her Jupiter in Pisces is giving her this expansion through music, through spirituality, and through faith. It's really resonating with that Sagittarian energy. She's got Uranus and Taurus up at her midheaven. This Taurus midheaven, a lot of our zodiac queens have a Taurus midheaven with the Leo rising. And then she's got Moon and Gemini in the 10th house. Her public appearance is connected to this intuitive way of communicating by building bridges between duality. Moon at the 7th degree of Gemini, opposition her Mercury at the 7th degree of Sagittarius. Again, bringing in more of that communication with higher philosophical, religious, worldly views with the Mercury and Sag, but is able to communicate about it in a way that is easy to understand, Gemini. And then she's part of the Pluto and Leo generation at the 2nd degree, which I think is nice. Pluto and Leo generation is often typecast as the baby boomers, and it's nice to feel into the warmth and the radiance that the Pluto and Leo generation also holds. And so Tina Turner is an expansive little girl, Sagittarius sun, in her neighbor's backyard, Gemini moon, inspiring us all with her warmth, Leo rising. And that's exactly what she's done through her life and work. What an honor it is to explore Tina Turner here on this Gemini full moon. Happy 80th birthday to Tina Turner. We're getting close to the closeout of this week's episode, but before we close out, I wanted to share with you this excerpt that fell out of the book. I was telling you about it earlier in this episode about the Siddhartha book that my yoga teacher handed to me, and that when I opened the book, a page fell out. And this page spoke really profoundly to me of Sagittarius, but also the Sagittarius and Gemini polarity. Gemini being connected to the words on a page or to the synchronicity of a page falling out. Gemini being connected to the immediate surroundings. And in Sagittarius, you'll hear the world travel, the philosophical pursuit. So as I read this excerpt to you, connect to the energy of Sagittarius in light of the Gemini full moon. I also think that looking at your Temperance tarot card could be really cool for this excerpt too, if you want to deepen your connection to your tarot cards. So here's the excerpt. Siddhartha learned something new on every step of his path, for the world was transformed and he was enthralled. He saw the sunrise over forest and mountains and set over the distant palm shore. At night, he saw the stars in the heavens and the sickle-shaped moon floating like a boat in the blue. He saw trees, stars, animals, clouds, rainbows, rocks, weeds, flowers, brook, and river. The sparkle of dew on bushes in the morning, distant high mountains blue and pale. Birds sang, bees hummed, the wind blew gently across the rice fields. All this, colored and in 1,000 different forms, had always been there. The sun and the moon had always shone. The rivers had always flowed and the bees had hummed. But in previous times, all this had been nothing to Siddhartha, but a fleeting and elusive veil before his eyes, regarded with distrust, condemned to be disregarded and ostracized from the thoughts, because this was not reality, because reality lay on the other side of the visible. But now his eyes lingered on this side. He saw and recognized the visible, and he sought his place in this world. He did not seek reality. His goal was not on any other side. The world was beautiful when looked at in this way, without any seeking, so simple, so childlike. The moon and the stars were beautiful, the brook, the shore, the forest and rock, the goat and the golden beetle, the flower and butterfly were beautiful. It was beautiful and pleasant to go through the world like that, so childlike, so awakened, so concerned with the immediate, without any distrust. Elsewhere the sun burned fiercely. Elsewhere there was cool in the forest shade. Elsewhere there were pumpkins and bananas. The days and night were short. Every hour passed quickly like a sail on the sea, beneath the sail of a ship of treasures full of joy. Siddhartha saw a group of monkeys in the depths of the forest, moving about high in the branches, and heard their wild, eager cries. Siddhartha saw a ram follow a sheep and mate. In a lake of rushes he saw the pike making chase in evening hunger. Swarms of young fishes, fluttering and glistening, moved anxiously away from it. Strength and desire were reflected in the swiftly moving whirls of water formed by the raging pursuer. All this had always been, and he had never seen it. He was never present. Now he was present and belonged to it. Through his eyes he saw light and shadows. Through his mind he was aware of moon and stars. Happy Gemini Full Moon to you, cosmic cousins. Thanks for tuning in to the show. Again, just a little update announcements. I have the 2020 Cosmic Download 2-hour episode available for purchase for pre-order on my website, astrologycousins.com/2020, or click the link in the show notes. If you'd like to stay up to date on all of my offerings, you can join the newsletter. I also have astrology and tarot healing sessions available. All of this is linked up in the show notes. And for this Gemini full moon, remember, keep your heart and your mind open to synchronicities in your immediate surroundings. Make eye contact with strangers. Say hello to people that you would normally keep an open eye to the things around you. And if you get the chance, rate 5 stars and leave some comments and reviews. And I'll see you next time for our Capricorn season episode. So take sweet care, cousins. And remember, deep breaths.